right. Today, I want to have a little bit of fun, and I just want to get to know you better and provide you with an opportunity to get to know me better as well. So, I thought I could find a couple of questions to answer so we can kind of, find out who we are and what we like and what we are like. And so here's a list of 10 questions that I'm going to provide answers to. If you are comfortable, pick and choose a couple of questions as well and answer in the comment section so I can also get to know you better. I'm very much interested to know who you are, what you are about, what you're doing here, and what you want to see more of. So, by the way, I did not take time to think things through. I didn't really want to prepare a script for this, so I'm just going to go off of the top of my head. So, you will get what you will get. But today is just a fun day. All right. Question 1 is, what inspired me to start this podcast? And what do I hope the listeners gain from it? Initially, when I started podcasting, it was mostly because I wanted to put on record some answers and some thoughts. So answers when it was about Christianity and the Bible being true, my own defense of my faith, because I'm always having these conversations with other people about our faith. It's something that we just talk about. And so I thought, if I have these questions, or if my friends and family have these questions, I'm sure someone out there has those same questions. And so I wanted to initially put down what my answers were and invite folks to kind of provide theirs as well. And that's how it all started. And then, of course, because I'm not all just faith, and I like to have fun as well and talk about other things, I realized that I could put whatever I wanted on here, and that whoever clicks with it, then it, whoever it works for, it will come on board. And so I wanted to also go off of what's trending on the internet and see what lessons we can learn from that. That's the interneting series. What else? I do think, though, I have shifted a little bit more into unscripted long format, because I also appreciate just talking about things as they come and not being too scripted and trying to remain authentic. So I love both formats. I love scripted when it's more serious, when it's more quote unquote educational, although I'm not an expert at all. And then I love long format unscripted as well. Now, when it comes to what I think listeners can gain from it, like I mentioned possibly before, is I just like to have a community of people who like to think about stuff. I want to encourage people like me, and I want to be encouraged by people as well. I did get 2-3 emails at the very beginning saying, hey, thank you. I'm too shy to comment, but of course I'm going to mention that I like listening to your stuff when I'm cooking or when I'm driving. So that's greatly encouraging. All in all, I think it's just wholesome living, faith-based, and a sprinkle of fun, which I think I am, and hopefully you get to enjoy that as well. So, but I would love to hear what inspired you to tune into this podcast. So share your reasons in the comments below. Question 2, can you share a memorable experience from your childhood that has significantly influenced who you are today? A memorable experience from your childhood. Well, yes, I can. I did have a good childhood, generally speaking. And this is about to get a little triggering for some people. So there's mention of like war and stuff like that. So if you're sensible to that, maybe fast forward, and I'll possibly fast forward for like 5 minutes. But I was born in a country where there was a genocide, and I have a vivid memory of my mother. When I was younger, I was about 6 years old, with my mother and my brother sitting in our kitchen back where we lived. And I have a vivid memory of what I, at the age of 6, called soldiers. They were absolutely not soldiers. They were like rebels and, people that wanted other folks not alive. I remember 2 of them, or 3, I can't remember the exact number, entering the kitchen with huge guns. And again, if this is triggering for you, I apologize. I just want to drive a point home. So please fast forward if this is not something you can hear. I want to be completely, I just don't want to bring any negativity here or any kind of trauma. So yeah. So they entered with weapons, and they were looking for my father. And I remember that when they entered, it was the beginning of what we call war, which clearly was a genocide. But when they entered, I remember my mom remaining so calm, and her energy of being calm under just a really dangerous moment where her kids are looking at folks with, guns. She remained so calm. They asked her questions like, where is the man of the house? And we're going to unalive you. We're going to this. We're going to that. And my mother remained so calm that I promise you I was not scared in that moment because of her demeanor and her behavior and her just energy during that time. And so she answered the questions, like I mentioned. I don't know if I have mentioned this, but my father died when I was young. And I remember that she answered their questions, and they ended the questioning by saying, we're glad he's not alive, to not mention that word, and we will come for you and your kids next. And my mom said, okay. And then they left the house and they went to the next house. So in the context of that genocide, really, they were looking to, can I say the word DEAD on YouTube? Anyways, so they were looking to unalive the men first and the important people, politically speaking, and then go ahead and get to the civilians. And so the point I'm trying to make is that changed my whole outlook on things, where whenever I'm stressed, whenever there's a big thing going on, whenever I feel uneasy, I don't necessarily panic. I have watched my mother overcome so many things in high stress moment, as in like, your life might end today, your kids' life might end today. And now that I'm a grown up, I can't believe I was just eating my food with those 2 men standing in the house. That's how safe I felt with my mother and my brother at that time. And I'm sure there's a part of trauma in there in the way she reacted, or just not having a choice but to remain strong. But I will say that it has helped me put things into perspective when I'm having a bad day, or there's something crazy that happens, or even traumatic experiences that I might have had. I have learned to really control my stress and control my anxiety, and I can honestly say that I rarely lose it, if ever. So some people will say that's great. Some people will say that is toxic. But I think it answers the question of how it significantly influenced who I am today. 3, if you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be and why? I mean, is Jesus included? Like, who are we talking? Not anybody really. I think for me, not anybody really. Maybe for fun, I would invite, like, who could I invite? Honestly, yeah, I would say if I could sit down with Jesus and have dinner with him, I would probably do that. But other than that, I think I don't have anyone in mind. So sorry to be boring. Let me know who you would pick. Sorry to be boring with that. But again, next time I see Jesus, I think it'll be the best time. So whatever. 4, what is a hobby or interest I have that might surprise people? A hobby that I have. I mean, my hobbies are pretty much reading. I think I love reading a lot. Sleeping, that is considered a hobby to me, meaning there's sleep that I sleep because it's needed, but there's also sleep that I sleep because I enjoy sleeping. And I hope I hope somebody can relate. Sometimes I decide that I'm going to sleep. Not that not that I'm sleepy, but if I have 20 minutes and my stuff is done and I could scroll on social media, or I could watch a movie, or I could whatever, I will sometimes choose to go and nap because I genuinely like napping. I don't have a weird hobbies or interest. I did at some point like to research random things though. Like yesterday I spent time randomly looking, and I mean randomly looking at how does an airplane function? Like what I know nothing about airplanes, so how does an airplane work? Like what do I need to know? And then in terms of flights as well, how is it organized? What are we supposed to look for? What do we not know? So sometimes I'll find a random thing and I will research it just for fun. I'm not going to necessarily use this information, but that's another hobby of mine. And the day before, it's also very random. The day before, I found a video talking about the Navy, the American Navy, US Navy. And I realized I didn't know anything about like the different branches of the US Army, or the military or the Air Force. And so I randomly spent maybe an hour research, like trying to understand that, which why? Number 5, what is the most challenging obstacle I have overcome and what did I learn from the experience? I mean, I would have to think about that. I believe that, well, so we're talking about something that I have already overcome. I don't know, because I think giving birth was something that I was afraid of physically because I'm a wussy. But I did give birth 3 times in 4 years and that went well. So I guess it was challenging because I was afraid of giving birth, like the process of giving birth. And my second child decided to scare me also by being born. What do you call that in English? Is it breached? When they're like upside down. So she decided to just be born like that. We went to the hospital because they were mentioning that they can turn your baby around, which I was not a fan of, but I tried it. And that girl decided that she was not going to turn around. She was just going to be born like that. Thank God I have hips. And so she's fine. I was fine. Everybody's fine. So challenging, I guess, giving birth, but I did it 3 times and hopefully never again, but who knows? And so, yeah. I actually want to know if anybody gave birth to breached babies in my friends here online. I think it's called breached, but did you give birth to upside babies? And how did that go for you? Number 6, if you could travel anywhere in the world right now, where would you want to go and why? Okay. I'm not very much a travel person, meaning I have friends and family who could do, if they could go away every other week, they would. I like my house. I like to be home. I like to be in my stuff. I like to visit my own city. I enjoy nearby little escapades with my husband. or friends. But like I mentioned before, I am pretty much an introvert, and I'm happy just going to the grocery store and coming back. Like, I'm content with that. However, one place that I always wanted to visit ever since I was maybe 23 or 4 was just New Orleans, because I have something in my head where I imagine it a certain way, and I'm sure I'm like romanticizing NOLA, but still, it's I have it in my system to visit NOLA. And sometimes I go online and just listen to videos of people's accents and look at neighborhoods and look at festivities over there. And I know that my husband shared that same desire to visit NOLA. So at some point I will go for sure, but that's the one place where I feel like I absolutely want to go. Pardon, where I absolutely want to go. I'm not a beach person, so I know most people are like, yeah, anywhere in the South with beaches, with, warm water, with beautiful sand, with drinks. Yeah, if it's free, I will go, but I don't crave it as most people do. I like cultural visits. Like, I could go to London. I would probably go to South Africa. I would go to NOLA, like I said. I would like to go see Banff at some point. And I want to go to Thailand, but not really. So I'm undecided about that. I have visited France and I liked it. We'll see. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go, my friends? If we were to win money today, where could we all go? That's not an invitation. It's just hypothetically speaking. Number 7. What is a book or movie that has had profound impact on you, and what lessons did you take from it? I mean, hello, the Bible. I won't even explain more of that. The Bible. Number 8. How do you handle stress or unwind after a long day? Well, stress, I handle it by keeping calm. I talked about that. And kind of going over the difference between what I can or cannot control, what is urgent or not. I do handle my stress well, I think, if I do say so myself. However, I think to unwind, a good nap helps. A good nap is always a good thing. I also now lately, so I'm a mom of 3 under 10. And I think my normal, regular, not postpartum self is a very chill person. But when you have people running around all day, you kind of forget that you are chill. So I like to remind myself that I'm chill by like lighting candles whenever I can, spraying like scented, what do you call these things? I have one in front of me. Let me tell you what it is. It's a linen and room spray. Don't come for me. I told you guys I speak French primarily. Linen and room spray. I have one currently with essential oils, and the flavor, or I guess the smell of it, is morning dew. And I have it in my hand currently sitting at my desk because I am very extra about smells and candles and things like that. So if I'm going to be reading emails, and I work full time, by the way, if I'm going to be reading emails and answering people, what I like to do is not only pray in the morning and give the first portion of my day to God, of course, to start the day, but also I like to be looking at something beautiful, like a burning candle. And I like to be smelling something nice, like this linen spray. And so because I have curtains and tissue, like the back of my chair is tissue, I spray that so it can smell good while I work. So that's a tip for you, my friends. If you have stressful jobs and you work from home, you're blessed to work from home like me, you can make the best of it by also seeing beautiful things and smelling beautiful things while you work. So that's how I unwind. I make the best of wherever and whatever I'm doing and what's happening around me. Let me know how you unwind. My friends typically, my husband is more, he will find a movie to watch that is just entertaining. That's how he unwinds, or he will invite people over. I really don't understand how you unwind with having people over, but every introvert is married to an extrovert, and it is what it is. And then I have friends who mostly like a glass of wine or take a bath, or what else? I have a friend who runs to unwind. Again, what? But it is what it is. So that's how I do it, and that's how my people do it. Let me know how you do it. If you could, so number 9, if you could instantly acquire a new skill or talent, what would it be or why? Ooh, that's a really good question. A new skill, right? Skill or talent. What would it be? I'll have to think about this one. Let me think about this one. I think I would want to be able to play any instrument. Is that really what I want? Yeah, like musical instrument, like to be a musician, but with everything. If like I could wake up and play the piano, and then play the guitar, and then play the sax, and then play the flute and the clarinet and the violin, and just I think it could be really good, fun. But that's like a fun skill. A useful skill could be to be able to produce material like guides or books, anything that is useful, not just books to read, but anything that will be useful for other people, like tools. To me, that takes organizational skills. That takes what else? That takes being, computer savvy, tech savvy. That takes being able to design things. But I just want to put something out that is useful, or put things out that are useful for other people. I buy a bunch of things to help me organize myself or put my thoughts down. I buy books that are guides for myself and for kids. Oh, by the way, I did put out a book, a little, I insist on the little book. I will put the link in the description, but I realized that my 8-year-old, so I have an 8-year-old, 5-year-old. This is a self-plug moment, so bear with me. I have an 8-year-old, 5-year-old, and a 4-year-old. And my 8-year-old started reading a lot of books. And lately, she's just been growing and being in school and being influenced by, other kids and their parents and their families and their ways, which is good. But I noticed that sometimes she will come to me with questions that I could answer with a straight answer, but I prefer to have her think about it. And so I started writing notes for her to think about stuff. And I realized if I can have her think about stuff and have a conversation with me or her friends about it, then that's a useful tool for her, instead of asking mommy to decide. And these are questions about just how do I deal with my friends, or sometimes they want me to do things I don't want to do those things. So I realized that if I could just put together thoughts, and again, this comes from the fact that I like to share my thoughts. Hello, I'm on a microphone doing that. I could do it for kids. So I wrote notes, that those notes, encouraged by my husband and my cousin, they were like, this should be something you give her with paper. So I went and did my thing and did a book for her. When my cousin read it, she said, you know what, print a copy for me. And I printed a copy for her. And it started like that. Long story short, the little book of big thoughts is available on Amazon. It's a very small book, but I think I put it in there, everything that I wanted my child to hold, so she can have that conversation. So that was a very unashamed self-plug, but I think it also comes from talking about acquiring skills. And to me, the skills that I want to acquire are skills that would allow me to produce things that are useful. I hope that makes sense. Does it make sense? Let me know in the comment, basically. That was a long-winded one, sorry. Last question. What is a piece of advice you wish you had received earlier in life? I mean, the best. What is a piece of advice I wish I had received? You know what? I had a conversation with my husband last week. This is very random and I'll try to make it short. We were talking about Colossians 3:23. Is it that? Is it 23? I think it's 3:23 about doing things as for the Lord and not for men. But let me just quickly verify. Colossians 3:23. Yay! Yes, that's correct. So Colossians 3:23. And we were talking about that verse among other things, and he mentioned we understood it completely differently, which is funny. I will do a whole episode about that, but we understood it differently. And his understanding of Colossians 3:23 was, if you are to do something, do it well. Do it as for God and not for men. As in, if you are about to do something, then do it well. You can decide not to do something, but if you're going to do something, do it well. That was his understanding given the context of Colossians. My understanding was slightly different, which was, but anytime you just don't feel like doing something, because we're humans, we're in our flesh, sometimes we just don't want to do something, or we don't want to be the bigger person. We don't want to be mature or whatever. Anytime I have read this before, it to me, it meant do the best you can and be the best you can when you don't want to do it or be it. So in ugly terms, force yourself to do things because it's the right thing to do, and do it as if you're doing it for and to God and not for and to man. I thought of verses in the Bible, or I'm paraphrasing here, but when we do good to other people, we're doing good to Christ. He said that at some point. I can't remember in which book because that's a far memory, but and I will find it. But to me, it meant when you don't want to do something but you know it's right, or when you have been scorned or hurt by other people and your flesh wants you to retaliate or to answer or be nasty with your tongue, or if you don't want to clean your home because other people don't seem like they care, whatever it may be, at work, if you're not recognized, whatever. Even if you feel like if you do not feel like doing something, still do the right thing as if it was for God, who did everything for you already and who gave his only son to die for you. And so to answer this question, sorry, I took long to put it in context. I do also like his interpretation and which turned out to be an advice for me, where I have a tendency to do a lot of things but not necessarily be a perfectionist. He is a perfectionist. He won't do 4 million things, but everything that man touches, he does it to perfection. He wants it to be well done. He will take time to correct when necessary. So for me, that's inspiration. I wish I had learned earlier to do things not just well, but to do them to perfection when I can, not to obsess over perfection, but I can really see where I am lacking in terms of going all the way. And whatever I touch, whatever I do, if I have decided to touch it or do it, to do it well. And that really spoke to me. And I wish I had gotten that advice or had that type of conversation earlier as a child, because now I have realized, okay, I have to teach my children, you don't have to do every single thing, but whatever you do, do it well. Make a habit of doing it well. And so that is the best advice that I would give a younger me, and that I wish I got earlier. But it's never too late, right? I'm a positive person. It's never too late. God willing, I still have a life to live, so I can course correct and try and put that in practice. I'm also kind of good with being patient with myself, so, and others, right? So now that I know this truth, or that I have this perspective, I don't expect to be able to put it in application perfectly overnight. Just as I'm going on a see, I can't be taken anywhere. See, now I'm just going in another preach. So I'll close it like that. But yeah, that's the advice, I guess, that I would have liked to get earlier. All right. So now, like I said, I would love to hear from you. Pick any of the questions, that I have answered, and share your own responses. I want this to be as much as, about you as it is about me. So let's keep the conversation going. And like I mentioned, for anybody who would be interested in my little book, I will put it at the end of the podcast and in the description. It's in English. I will put out, if possible, at some point in the near or far future. And so, yeah, I think that's that. Let me know if you enjoyed it by clicking the thumbs up. And of course, if you are new here, happy you stopped by, click subscribe so we can do this more often. I will see you.
What if your child's next breakthrough is just a page away? Introducing the Little Book of Big Thoughts. This gem is packed with 25 engaging lessons that spark curiosity and build wisdom for kids ages 5 to 10. From kindness to courage to authenticity and boldness, everything is in there. Perfect for bedtime, learning time, or anytime. Give your kids the gift of wisdom today. Available now on Amazon.